Content is intended to provide accurate information, however, is not intended as financial, tax, or legal advice. Please consult a financial, legal, or tax professional for specific information regarding your individual situation. Opinions expressed and provided are for general informational purposes only and should not be considered a solicitation for the purchase or sale of any security.
Cornerstone Retirement Partners presents Your Course to Retirement with Grand Rapids Certified Financial Planner Ron Corser and Nolan Gosley. Cornerstone Retirement Partners are planning today for the potential of tomorrow.
And welcome into the program. This is your Course to Retirement with Grand Rapids Certified Financial Planning Professional, your resource, ladies and gentlemen, for a common sense approach to understanding your finances, your money, and what we need to be thinking about and paying attention to in the financial and economic world. He is Ron Corser, CFP, and founder of Cornerstone Retirement Partners. Ron, we always appreciate the time here on the program.
Well, good morning, everybody, and good morning, everybody. Welcome, going to church or walking to church. If you're listening on this program, if you missed part of it because of services, you can always go to our website, www.cornerstone-rp.com, to get into previous sessions or this one here. But we're going to have an interesting conversation today. Here it is. I think it's safe to say in Michigan, it's the middle of summer, I think. Although we could get 10 inches of snow next Saturday or something like that, but I think we're good. So we're going to talk about something that's important to everybody, and it's a general topic. We're going to focus on a couple specific parts of it. The general topic is planning on retiring for income, getting ready for that day when perhaps you change jobs, you really back off of the full-time employment, and you start to live in retirement. And that's a major change in everybody's life. I'm not sure it's as big a change as when you have your first child, because I remember when I had my first child, sleep became something that we could only dream about. And then we decided to have a second child, and sleep was something we forgot all about. So I'm not sure it's that dramatic, but retiring is a pretty dramatic step in our lives, where we go from having a job, having somebody pay us to do what we do, or if we're self-employed, paying ourselves, to going to a situation where now we're going to rely on our life savings to be our new employer, so to speak, who's going to provide the income. So planning for retirement is a really big deal. We all know that. And sometimes getting a little extra help from somebody who focuses on retirement planning, it can be really important and a real advantage. And that's what we do at our firm at Cornerstone Retirement Partners. Our primary number one focus is formulating a retirement income plan for people, for planning on all the what ifs, might ifs, could it be, what should we be concerned about, what should we worry about, what do we want to have joy about, kind of a plan that's all encompassing. And we've been doing it for about 26, going on 27 years. So we think we have some experience in formulating a plan, knowing that everybody's different. There's no one perfect solution for everything and everybody. So we try to tailor it to everybody's personal situation, their own personal values, which I think is very important, and how they want to live the remainder of their life in that retirement thing. You know, we can spend 30 years in retirement, which is a really long time. So it's important to make sure that we have a plan in place that not only gives us the flexibility and the peace of mind today, and we look around, we're in a really volatile time, but also gives us the best probability of success going forward. And we think we're pretty good at that, and we can help people understand that. Understanding that there's not 100% perfection in anything, but we can get real close to that. So we're going to talk about the general overall, let's get ready for retirement, and then we're going to focus on three areas: formulating an income plan, really understanding your risk exposure, and then taxes in retirement. So stay tuned. If you have questions, or we already have kind of nudged you a little bit, give us a call at 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581, or go to our website, www.cornerstone-rp.com. Put your name and information in there. We'll reach out to you and get you the information you need, answer your questions, whatever kind of help you're looking for, we will provide it. So give us a call or contact us as soon as possible.
Well, Ron, I think the thing that I've always appreciated about this program is the educational nature. The information that you provide is always helpful for guidance and direction, and you make additional resources available. And I think that there's a library of content that people could turn to on your website there at cornerstone-rp.com. Reports, calculators, tools, white papers, of course, the library of podcasts that you have done on many, many different financial topics. Somebody could dig in, maybe peruse the library if they're looking for education in general, but always search a specific topic and find answers and direction and guidance on their individual question or area of concern. So again, that's cornerstone-rp.com. And if you've got a particular topic, ladies and gentlemen, that has been on your mind or that you are facing, if you contact the team from Cornerstone Retirement Partners, they can probably send you specific resources to help educate you and address and answer questions on that particular topic, or of course, invite you in for that complimentary review and that retirement planning strategy session. 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581, the number to call. But Ron, the topics that we are going to discuss today, no different. In fact, you've got an excellent resource that really sums up the process of preparing for retirement into 10 steps on one page. And I think this is great for anyone who is considering making that huge life transition to go through these and really kind of reflect on their answers to each one of these 10 steps, how prepared they are to answer and address each of these 10 topics.
I think it's a great list. I really do. And it's on one page. And it's available to anybody, ladies and gentlemen. If you'd like a copy of this, just give our office a call at 616-301-2581 and say, I want that 10 steps to prepare for retirement page that Ron talked about on his show, and we'll send it out to you, mail it out to you, or email it to you. A lot of times things seem to be so simple that they don't have to be touched on. And I take the other approach. Sometimes the simple things really are the things that require a lot of investigation. Everybody knows we need a plan for retirement. We all know that. We need a plan to take a vacation. We need a plan to figure out how we're going to buy our next house and things like that. We need a plan for retirement. And one of the first things that always forms the basis of the whole discussion that you're going to have with the financial advisor, hopefully it'll be with us and you'll call us, or just with your immediate family or your significant other, your spouse, is how much money do we need every month coming in from all different sources, Social Security, pensions, income from investments. How much do we really need to maintain our lifestyle? It's the most important question. And a lot of times people think, well, I think I know how much I need, but the question really becomes, do you really know? And it's one of those things that takes perhaps a little bit of investigation, but once you do it, you got a really firm grasp on this. And I'm going to give you an example. Many years ago, I got a call from a young lady whose husband had just died, and she was left with 3 children under 18 years old. He was a minister, but he had left her a sizable life insurance policy. And I asked her, and I said, Tamara, do you know how much money you're going to need every month now to maintain your lifestyle, to take care of your kids, and to kind of recalibrate your own life? And she gave me a number and she said, yeah, I think we're going to need something like $1,900 a month. I asked her if she'd do me a favor, and the favor was this. How about if we just put this money in a cash account, let it sit for about 90 days? And would you be kind enough to track every dime you spend on everything, whether you buy a package of gum at this Meyer gas station, pay insurance payments, food, everything, just track it all. And she said she would. So she came back 3 months later and I said, do you have your number? And she said, yeah, I'm glad you made me do that. She needed about $2,600 a month. So what's the point of this? If we had planned on the lower number, the plan would have blown up and not worked. So it's really important to understand, and we've used this question a lot on the program. Do you know what your number is? We see a lot of ads on TV, a lot of people in magazines talking about your number, and your number always seems to be X number of dollars, a lump sum. I need $1 million or $30 million to retire, whatever that number is. But your real number is how much money do you need coming into your checkbook every month to maintain your lifestyle? It's a very different question to ask as opposed to, well, how much money do I need in a lump sum to retire? You know, we always go back when I joke with you, Peter, about you have $10 million. And you asked me if you can retire. And I said, I don't know. Let me ask you this question. How much income do you need every month to maintain your lifestyle? And you're not a high roller, Peter, but you say, I need $1 million a year to maintain my lifestyle. And I say, okay, let's do some arithmetic. You've got 10 million. You need $1 million every year. You're going to run out of money here soon. So you don't have enough income in retirement to retire. That's why it's really important to understand what that number is. Because once you have that number, then you can look at, well, where is all this going to come from? And the first place we generally look is Social Security. That's only if you're 62 or older. And one of the things I always encourage people to allow us to help them do is, particularly for couples, is do a Social Security analysis. And let us do that analysis before you retire, before you tap into the Social Security benefit. Because there's still options out there that can help you maximize your Social Security benefit. So one of the first things we can offer people at no charge is to do a Social Security analysis as part of this whole idea of how we're going to figure out how we're going to retire. So ladies and gentlemen, if you would like a Social Security analysis done for you, give us a call at 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581, or go to our website, www.cornerstone-rp.com. Put your information in there. We'll reach out to you, touch base with you, and we can do, and we'll do it for free because I think it's important, a Social Security analysis for you that will show you different options you have and how to maximize your benefit given whatever your income needs are. So that's the first thing we go through. So you define how much money you need and you say, well, where it's going to come from. If you're blessed with a pension and you haven't taken that pension yet, you have pension options. We can help figure out what the best option is for you in your particular situation. And every pension plan has at least 6 different options. So give us a call at 616-301-2581. We can help you figure out what the best options are for you and combine that with any Social Security benefit as we start to build up the income flow cash-wise on a monthly basis to get to that number, that most important number that you have.
And that
so once we've done that, then the next thing becomes really serious, is how do we find an income plan? And that's the key part. That's the key part to everybody's retirement program. How do you do the income plan? You know, we all save all of our lives. We scrimp, we sacrifice a lot too, don't we? To make sure that we have enough money going into retirement. And people generally are always concerned about, do I have enough, or is it in the right place? Or is it going to give me what we need? We may live for another 30 or 35 years in retirement. Do we have that taken care of? So we design retirement income plans for people in retirement. And they're written plans that cover a wide variety of income sources, a wide variety of potential outcomes. They give you one thing, peace of mind, knowing that the probability of success that you'll have in a plan that we designed for you, you'll have the highest probability of success possible. And it's also a plan that we monitor, we stay on top of, because times change. Plans we designed a year and a half ago for folks, we've had to go into some adjustment mode simply because of what's gone on this past year with markets and inflation and interest rates and all of that. So if this is starting to sound like something that's important to you and you'd like to have a competent group of people help you with all of these things that go into a retirement plan, give us a call at 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581, or go to our website, www.cornerstone-rp.com. Put your information in there. We'll reach out to you and help you every which way we can.
616-301-2581, the number to call, 616-301-2581. And Ron, I think these are the first steps in preparing for retirement, critical steps that we must cover, and really the beginning of the process of formulating the income plan. Now, I know we're going to be covering structuring the income plan in greater detail in maybe the next segment or on another part of the program. But why is it that the vast majority of the American public needs to revisit this so essentially as they are making the transition? Why is it absent from the plan that most of us already have pre-existing to making the preparations to transition into retirement?
That's a great question. And the answer, I think, is a little simple. Sometimes when we meet people for the first time, I'll ask them, tell me about your retirement plan. And the response, and this is, I get a lot, well, I have a 401k, or I have an IRA and a 401k. I've got some money in the bank. And I gently try to say, that's not a retirement plan. You're merely describing how your assets are kind of invested and what different buckets they're in. It's not an income plan. And sometimes they say, well, I figure if I can take 4% out of all that money, I should be okay. And one of the downsides to that kind of approach is they always assume, and we always assume as normal human beings, that if we have $500,000 and we take 4% off, that'll give us $20,000 a year. And we're always going to be able to do that. And what sometimes we overlook is the fact that if all that money's in the market and we have a downturn like we've had this year, we're taking more money out of a dwindling amount of life savings. So all of a sudden, that the plan that says, well, my plan is to take 4% out of my life savings, that should be good enough for me for the next 20 years. All of a sudden, it doesn't work when we have a market correction. All of a sudden, it doesn't work if they haven't given enough help really in creating that income plan budget, that thing that says, how much do I really need? If there isn't an emergency fund built into that plan, if there isn't a contingency, so to speak, for what if we don't know what we don't know, do we still have to figure out a way to account for that? If we do in a good income plan, that's the advantage that an income plan has, is it helps you create an emergency fund. It helps you create a strategy to deal with the what ifs in life, and it helps you create the opportunity to deal with, oh my goodness, I never thought this would happen in a million years, and it did. So creating an income plan is a little more, requires a little more help, I think, and effort than just, I got enough money, if I just take 4% out, I got a 401k and an IRA, I should be fine. You want an income plan that doesn't say, well, I should be okay, or I hope I'm going to be okay, or I think if nothing goes wrong, I'll be okay. The purpose of a written retirement plan is to say, you know what? I've got my number, and that number is the amount of money coming in every month. No matter what happens, I'm going to have my number. That's the basis of a really great retirement plan. It's not hope. It's not built on I think, or I hope, or I whatever. No, you're going to know that you have the greatest probability of success. So if you would like some certainty in creating a retirement plan, it gives you the highest probability of success, and a plan that's going to be watched over by somebody. Give us a call, 616-301-2581. We can help do these things. So give us a call, 616-301-2581, or go to our website, www.cornerstone-rp.com. Put your information in there. We'll reach out to you and help you. And we can help you create an income plan that is flexible, that will keep you out of harm's way, so to speak, and that will give you your number coming in every month.
And Ron, the subsequent steps on this list, again, fantastic resource. If you are considering, if you've got a loved one, a family member, a coworker considering retirement and wanting to understand what that's going to take and how to properly plan and prepare, give a call to Cornerstone Retirement Partners. Request this one-page list of the 10 steps to prepare for retirement. Go over it on your own time. And if there's any of these 10 steps that you feel like you need to address with a qualified, experienced professional, give Cornerstone Retirement Partners a call back and set up that time to meet and discuss. It's a complimentary service that they offer for listeners to the program, viewers of the podcast, and savers and investors, proactive minded planners in and across Grand Rapids and surrounding areas. 616-301-2581. But subsequent steps on this, Ron, we'll go over them here. And then I think we plan on going into a few of these in a little bit more detail. But after you've formulated the income plan, then understand your risk exposure and carefully consider that risk exposure. Right now, a lot of people are seeing that and kind of worried about their risk exposure, I think.
You know, it's an interesting thing about risk. When the markets are going up, it's a normal human tendency. I have it, you have it. Yeah, we can handle more risk when the market's going up. When the markets aren't going up, we find out that maybe we don't need as much risk or like as much risk, or something, we have too much risk in our plan. There's an expression in our industry, and I've said it before on this program: nobody knows who's swimming naked until the tide goes out. And that's one of the things we always tell. We really don't know how much risk we can handle until we walk into a situation where the markets turn on us, where the markets go down, where there's a loss in the market. That's when we find out what kind of risk takers we really are. And it's one of those things that an income plan takes into consideration is how much risk do you really have, and what kinds of investments are producing that risk or minimizing that risk. So it's one of the things we tell folks. I joke sometimes with people and say, you know, I'm a bit of a nerd. Sometimes people don't know that about me. I tend to go into the weeds a little bit in trying to describe things, but I'm very concerned about being able to measure things. So you can come to your own advisor or come into my office, ladies and gentlemen, and show me what your plan is, and you can say, Ron, how much risk is in this? And I have one of two ways to respond to that. I can either say, I don't think you have too much. You're kind of diversified. You got some different mutual funds. How much risk do you have? Not too much. Well, what does not too much mean? Does it mean if the market corrects, I'll lose 5% or 55%? So a better way, I think, to approach the risk, how much risk do you have in there, is can we measure the risk? Can we put a speed limit, so to speak, on your portfolio, your investments? You know, I use the analogy sometimes on the expressway out here in Grand Rapids. The speed limit is 70 miles an hour. On a great day like today, it's sunny. People can go 95 miles an hour. I know they go 95, even though the speed limit's 70, because I've passed them a couple times going 95, and I know that about them. So you can do that on a dry, sunny day. In the middle of February, when we had 12 inches on the ground and 4 more coming, the speed limit was still 70 miles an hour. But chances are in that environment, you can try to go 70. You'll end up on one side or the other of the expressway. You may be behind an 18-wheeler going 15, 20 miles an hour, hoping he can see where he's going. So everybody's a great risk taker until, so to speak, the wheels come off or something changes. So we tend to take a look at risk and say, instead of saying not so much, how about if we actually measure the kind of risk you have in your portfolio? The one you have right now, we can actually measure it, the risk. We have software and back office support that can create risk assessments in every portfolio there is. And you can see whether you have as much risk as you thought, or not too much, or a little, whatever the number is. We can actually put a speed limit, so to speak, on your portfolio when it comes to stock market risk versus the overall market. And if you own bonds or other fixed income securities, we can actually measure the risk in that too. So one of the things that perhaps separates us a little bit is we can actually quantify or put a speed limit on your portfolio. If the market speed limit is 70, do you want to go 70 in this environment? Do you want to go 40? Do you want to go 95? We can help you with that analysis so you really understand, perhaps for the very first time, how much risk you really do have and the kind of risk you have in your portfolio. We think this is important. So ladies and gentlemen, if you think it's important and you'd like to have a risk analysis done of your existing portfolio, it may be great, but wouldn't it be nice to know that it is great? Give us a call at 616-301-2581. 616-301-2581. We'll help you to find out how much risk you have in your portfolio. Or just go to our website, www.cornerstone-rp.com. Put your information in there. We'll reach out to you and figure out how we can be of the greatest help to you in figuring out exactly how much risk you really do have, and if it's right for you. And if it's right for you depends on you, not on us. But we can help you with that analysis.
Again, 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581, that risk analysis, a critically important understanding of what is going on with your money, what you own, how much risk you are exposed to. From there, you can make some educated decisions if that risk level is appropriate. And it's all part of these 10 steps to prepare for retirement. If you'd like this list again, pick up the phone, give Cornerstone Retirement Partners a call, 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581. We'll come back. We'll continue our discussion here with certified financial planning professional Ron Corser, CFP, on your course to retirement in just a moment. Welcome back to the program. This is your course to retirement with Grand Rapids certified financial planning professional Ron Corser, CFP, founder of Cornerstone Retirement Partners. And today we are talking about the important topics that are on our minds about our money, about our planning, about our financial future, making sure that each dollar is working its hardest to help us achieve those important goals. Ron, during the break, we were talking about some of these important topics. Topics like income planning, Social Security optimization, taxation, principal protection. And I think that's a big one. Before the break, we were talking a little bit about understanding our risk exposure. When we understand our risk exposure, I think part of that conversation is that there are options where we do not have to take that same kind of level of risk of these wild market fluctuations affecting us.
You know, there are. And one of the things we need to think about when it comes to our investments, and sometimes I think we tend to minimize it at times, is protection for our life savings. We could look around and say, there's a need for protection for a lot of things. Look how life has changed. When I was a young kid, we never wore helmets when we rode a bike. Never did. Now you wear a helmet. When I was young, we didn't have seat belts in the car. I know I'm getting a little old, but I remember that. Now we wear seat belts. When I was young, it used to be that cigarettes didn't cause any physical damage. Now we know that that's true. So there's a lot of things that have changed over time, and most of it, I think, is for the better to protect ourselves and our children. So when it comes to protection, doesn't it make sense to think maybe we ought to have some sort of protection for our life savings so we don't have a really catastrophic event that happens if the markets go down? Nobody seems to need protection or anything as long as things are working well. But it's when, you know, if something goes wrong, what's going to happen? What's the downside? So people always want growth. We always want growth in our life savings. I'm absolutely a big fan of that. But we also have a need to protect it because we know that, yeah, the markets may go up over time, 2/3 of the time. But boy, when they go down that 1/3 of the time, that can be painful. It really can be. So what kind of protection and how can we bring protection to our life savings? A lot of it starts with a really just basic conversation with an advisor firm like us that says, let's take a look at the different kinds of investment options you have. And there's a wide variety. There's a whole bunch. There's literally thousands if we want to, and see what works. Everybody wants upside growth, wants some downside protection. So how do we manage that? There's different approaches to doing that. And part of it just comes to saying, let's take a look at what's out there and see what fits. What do I mean by that? Our firm is a fiduciary firm. I'm a certified financial planner. What that simply means is I am legally responsible to do what's best in the client's interest. We clearly don't have a dog in the hunt, so to speak, with what kind of options we present to clients. We don't get paid extra for pushing certain funds or certain things. But we very clearly tell people how we're going to be compensated, but more importantly, why we're suggesting a particular place to put some of your life savings in an investment or an insurance product, and what it does or won't do to give you the growth you need, but also to protect you in some fashion on the downside. I'll tell you, this past year, even going back in the fourth quarter of last year, protection on the downside has become much more important than it was the previous 12 months when the market went up dramatically, particularly after COVID finally broke. So how do we do that? What kind of protection is out there? You have options as investors. You can put all your money and generally into programs like a 401k, IRA, buy some mutual funds. They're designed to do one thing, and that's go up when the markets go up. But when the markets go down, they also go down. Now, they may not go down in lockstep or go up in lockstep with the market, but they're going to go, most plans are going to go directionally the way the markets. So then the question becomes, is it possible to create an investment plan that'll give us some protection when the markets do go sideways or down, but still give us a really good opportunity for a reasonable rate of return? And the answer that I use for that is yes, it is possible. But you have to allow us to explain all of it and to talk about it and see what fits your own mindset, to see what fits your need for income, to see what fits your need for protection. So even when it comes to investing in the market, you can put some guardrails on that investment. You can put some protection on the downside on it too, which can make really great sense. You also can use insurance products, for example, an annuity. What does an annuity do? I've talked about it a lot on this program, but annuities, whether they're variable or fixed annuities, do one thing extremely well that no other investment can do, and that's to create guaranteed cash flow, income. So that might be another option. Particularly a variable annuity doesn't protect principal, but a fixed annuity, principal protected annuity will. So that might be another option to consider of how do I take some of my life savings and put a floor on it so it can't go down. It'll give me the income I need. So creating a program that says, how do we minimize risk and maximize potential returns is not as simple as just choosing, well, here's 6 mutual funds, have a nice day. It takes a lot more effort. It takes a lot more examination. And that's what we do as a firm. We lay out a lot of different investment options that might be appropriate, but you have to, as our client, you have to understand it. And it has to make sense to you. But more importantly, it has to do what you want it to do. If you want upside, if you want income, if you want downside, we have to put together a strategy, a structure that will give you the best opportunity and potential and possibility for success. And we're able to do that because as a fiduciary firm, we look at everything. We're not just a one-horse show here. There's not anything I really am against. So if something works, it's going to work if we explain it properly and it does what you want it to do. But ultimately, it's up to you. But we can put some guardrails around your life savings. We can put some protection on the downside of your life savings and not really hinder the upside much in terms of growth, to provide the income you need, but to make sure that you have the best opportunity to have a great retirement plan for the next 10, 20, or 30 years. So if this is starting to make some sense, ladies and gentlemen, give us a call. 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581, or go to our website, www.cornerstone-rp.com. Put your information in there. We'll reach out to you and help you and give you the information you need to make really good decisions on your retirement plan, on your life savings, on protecting your family, but giving you the best opportunity and possibility for success in the future.
Ron, people seem to always want growth. If we add an element of principal protection for a portion of our money, does that mean that we are giving up on upside potential with that portion of money?
Well, there's a balance here. The more protection you want, the more upside you give up. But it doesn't mean you give up upside. There's still the potential to have growth because you need growth. Anybody who thinks they're going to live for another 30 years in retirement, you have to have growth. The option is not to put all your money in a 3-pound coffee can and bury it in the backyard, because even there's risk to that, isn't there? What's the risk? You go back 5 years from now, inflation eats away some of the protection. But the real risk is that you'll develop some sort of dementia issue, forget where you buried it, it's a total loss. So everybody needs growth. The question is, and maybe I can put it this way, how much growth at what cost? When the markets are going up, everybody wants all the market. That's normal human being. It's normal. I'm that way, you're that way, Peter. We want all the market. When the market's going down, we don't want any of the market. So we have to kind of create a range that says, look, if you want some downside protection, you're going to have to give up a little bit of upside, but that may not be bad. I mean, right now the markets are in terrible shape. So the people who have put a lot of downside protection in their life savings have done remarkably well versus somebody who just didn't have any protection at all. So it really gets down to saying, what's the rate of return I really need? Here's a key question. What's the rate of return I really need over time to give me what I want, meaning to give me the income I want and the growth I want? Generally, if people really take a hard look at that question, they'll come up with an answer that's probably something other than all the market. You know, it may be a real key to success is figuring out how much risk you got to have to meet your needs. So let me give you an example. Let's say you have $10 million, Peter. I love going back to you. And you need $1 million a year out of your portfolio. Well, forgetting taxes for a moment, inflation, you need to have a 10% annualized rate of return to give you that $1 million a year. Now, in some years that may be possible. A lot of years it may not be possible, but that's what you need. Now, if somebody needs $20,000 a year out of a $500,000 life savings, that's a 4% rate of 4% withdrawal rate. So how about if we say, if you could get if we could set a goal of 7%, Peter, on your $500,000, that would give you the $20,000 you need going forward. We could put some guardrails on that. We could put some downside protection on that and give you the best opportunity to succeed, to have your money give you what you need along with some growth. Would that be a bad idea? Probably not. So a lot of it is answering some basic questions. How much do I need from my life savings to give me what I want in my lifestyle, to maintain it? And what's the least amount of risk I have to take to get what I want? It's a very different question, isn't it, from saying, well, I need all the market. It really is, what's the least amount of risk I have to take to get what I want? In our example with you, the least amount of risk would be 10%. It's kind of an aggressive number, but it's your number. It's not my number. And we can try to work to that. Others may say, if I could get 6%, I'd be really happy. Or if I could get 3% over and above inflation, Ron, that would be great. So it's important to have that conversation of how much risk are you willing to take, but what's the least amount of risk versus the most amount of return? What do I have to do to get what I want so my lifestyle stays intact? If we can help you answer those questions, we can help you create a retirement plan that's going to meet your needs and give you the best probability of success. It'll work. So give us a call, ladies and gentlemen. If this is kind of piquing your interest, give us a call. We'll talk to you at no obligation about what you're doing, about what you want to have happen with your life savings. about your dreams and hopes and values for the future, what you want for your family, keeping the money in the family. All of those things we can talk about. So give us a call, 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581, or go to our website, www.cornerstone-rp.com. You can put in your information there. You can also tune in to other programs we've had, and today's program will be up and around probably in a week or so. You can tune into this one too. So give us a call, 616-301-2581. We will do everything we can to help you.
Ron, in the financial world, the need for some safe money really has always been recognized. At the very least, it's that bank money, your emergency account, 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses that is safe and accessible at a moment's notice. But even on the other side, on the risk side, on the growth side, it has really never been recommended that you take 100% equity exposure with all your money over there. The old modern portfolio theory or asset allocation always had some prescribed balance of equities and what has been called fixed income, traditionally like bonds or bond funds. It's the old 60-40 portfolio, 70-30 portfolio. There is a percentage there that is, yes, equity exposed, but also, even within the risk side, a percentage that is safer or more conservative. Maybe not guaranteed safety. It does have some fluctuation, but also not the full risk of the market. And I think that within that portion of the portfolio, there's really a lot of discussion right now on what is the best or most appropriate way to have that conservative portion of our growth money still grow, but provide the primary goal to where it's not correlated to market drops and declines and volatility.
That's a really important discussion to have, and it's a great lead in to just thinking about what are we supposed to do long term with our money. You know, back in the day, I can remember my mom called me one day. This was when inflation was through the roof. And she called me up one day and said, son, you're not going to believe it. I got a 5-year CD that paid 14% and they gave me a toaster. And I kind of chuckled. I said, but Mom, inflation's about 17. And bless my mom's heart, she says, I don't care about that stupid inflation. I got a 5-year CD, pays 14% a toaster. Well, 2 years later, inflation went away. And I thought, you know, my mom was a lot smarter than I thought she was. I wish I'd have done that. We used to use CDs as a safe place where you could get 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7% interest on it. That's not going to happen for a while. Interest rates are going up now, so maybe the banks will change it, but they're going to be under a lot of stress to really push interest rates up. So then it becomes, okay, where do we go? Right now, bonds are struggling because interest rates have gone up and bonds are losing money. People think bonds are safe. Bonds have a lot of risk in them, particularly when it comes to interest rate risk. If you think about a bond, what's generally the biggest risk is interest rate risk, inflation risk. When interest rates go up, the value of the bond, either in your bond mutual fund or if you own bonds on the secondary market, the value of that bond goes down. And it's vice versa. When interest rates go down, the value of that bond goes up. Right now, interest rates are having a terrible time not going up. So the value of bonds are going down. So people who relied on a bond portfolio that represented maybe 40% of their whole life savings, they've lost some money. And the interest that the bonds are generating may not be enough to even cover most of that. So where do you go in an environment like this? That's why I tell people it's important to work with a company that has some options. And believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, we do have options to deal with this rising interest rate environment on what are called the bond market or fixed income accounts. We can help with that. We can help put some guardrails on your portfolio. We can help figure out treasury bonds have always been the most safest things in the world. And to some extent they are, because they're backed by the power of the United States government to print money to pay them. But there may be other bond options out there that don't have as much interest rate risk to them. We can help sort through all of that because we don't do cookie cutter things. So ladies and gentlemen, if you have the normal portfolio of 60% stocks, 40% bonds, cash, something like that, and it's not giving you the performance you need, or perhaps it's doing worse than you thought, give us a call, 616-301-2581. We can help do an evaluation of what you're holding, why you're holding it, what it could or should do, and see if it makes sense to make some adjustments, or for us to just say, you know what, you're in great shape. I know the market's working against you, but you're in great shape. You don't have to change a thing. But wouldn't it be nice to know that? We can help you with that understanding. So give us a call, 616-301-2581, or go to our website, www.cornerstone-rp.com. Put your information in there. We'll reach out to you and help you.
Again, 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581. Proactive savers and investors, Grand Rapids area planners, you've got a great resource there in Cornerstone Retirement Partners, the team looking after your wealth and your health. And they do it all under one roof there. If you are that retirement-minded individual who may be looking at Medicare decisions right around the corner, or optimizing your Social Security, or planning for that retirement income, or protecting assets later on down the road from the potential of medical expenses, wiping out a life savings. Make sure that you are proactive in addressing those matters. That's what the team from Cornerstone Retirement Partners is there for. 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581. Another big one, Ron, that is on the minds of a lot of people, especially as we are looking at how much it seems like we pay each and every year, each and every paycheck, each and every withdrawal we make from our savings, is taxes. Taxation of our money is a big issue. And I don't think anybody wants to cross the line or get into the gray area with the IRS. But there are proactive moves that we can make to better control the tax implications on our money and keep more of it.
Yeah, that whole tax thing is an interesting thing. You just reminded me of my mom again. My mom, when I was young, said, son, you always have to pay your taxes, because if you don't pay your taxes, J. Edgar Hoover is going to come to the house and get you. She used to tell me that. Now, that has stayed in my brain forever. So when it comes to paying taxes, one of my big concerns when I talk to our tax person is, I don't want to owe. I don't care if I pay more. I don't want J. Edgar Hoover's ghost coming to my house. Well, if we just think about taxes for a moment, it's a really big deal with our retirement planning. It really is. You know, it's been said and estimated by a lot of companies, Fidelity, Vanguard, even the US government, that the two biggest costs we're going to have in retirement is going to be healthcare and taxes. Sometimes I'll ask the question, more often than sometimes, to people, hey, what do you think? Next 5-10 years, what you pay in income tax, state, local, federal, you think it's going to go up, be the same, go down? And most people say it's probably going to go up. So then if it's going to go up 5 or 10 years from now, what's the plan? What's the plan? What do we have to do now to start to make sure that we have the best opportunity to minimize what we pay in tax going forward, if we really think taxes are going to go up? So number one, creating an investment strategy as part of your overall income plan. It's really important. Now, if all your money is in an IRA or 401k, what do? Well, maybe you take a look at, and we've talked about it a lot, creating a Roth conversion strategy to take some of that money out of that tax deferred account that's always going to be taxed forever, as long as you live, and creating tax-free dollars. We're still in an environment today where the tax rates are probably going to be as low today as they're ever going to be the rest of our life. So if we know we're going to always pay tax on money we take out of the IRA or 401k, maybe it makes sense to take that money out now at the lowest tax rate possible, rather than wait 4 or 5 years from now when taxes go up. So that's one opportunity and one solution. Another way is if you have money in a brokerage account, a tax deferred account, or a taxable account, what kind of things are you investing in? Mutual funds, which are somewhat tax inefficient, meaning they generate a lot of what they call 1099 income, whether you make money out of it or not, or spend it, or are you buying more in exchange traded funds, which are more tax advantage. So in a taxable account and a brokerage account, we can actually create strategies that give you the best opportunity to minimize the tax burden on that investment portfolio. So there's things we can do with taxes that can help you, because here's a little thing that a lot of people don't understand. Let's pretend that you're 2 or 3 years away from going into the Medicare program, age 65. You know how costs on Medicare Part B are determined? They're determined by the income that you paid 2 years ago. So if you're 2 or 3 years away from that number, might it also make sense, if you're still working, to create more tax-free income using a Roth conversion now, say 3 or 4 years before you're going into the Medicare program? Because that'll minimize what you ultimately pay, your income level, when they figure out how much you're going to pay in Part B. So this whole issue of taxes is not a question of, oh, well, there's nothing we can do about it. We just might as well pay it and, suck it up. And my solution is that let's think about where your money is positioned. There's only three kinds of accounts you can place your money. One is a tax deferred account, 401k, IRA, 403b, something like that. Another is a tax advantage account, a brokerage account, CDs, things like that. The other account is a tax-free account. That's a Roth account. The more money you can put in those last two, in the tax advantage or the tax-free account, the better you're going to be able to survive whatever's coming the road down the next 10, 15 years, when the illustrious people we elect down there in Washington, D.C. start to change the tax rules. So it's a question not if we're going to pay tax, we're going to pay tax. The question becomes, when are we going to do it and how much are we going to pay? We have control over when. We have absolutely no control over how much we're going to pay, because the IRS and those elected officials figure that out. So let's control what we can. Let's pay the tax now if you want to do a Roth conversion. Figure out a strategy that makes some sense to you from an income tax point of view, and create a strategy that goes forward, helping you do that. Because down the road, it's going to be precious money to you.
Now, Ron, is this for everyone, or is this for specific dollars, or do we need to examine the situation and crunch the numbers pretty carefully to understand if this makes sense?
You have to crunch the numbers. Peter, you have $10 million in your IRA. I mean, to convert all that to the Roth, you probably get a thank you note in a flower basket from the IRS. You would pay probably $6 million in taxes. Mm-hmm. So that doesn't make any sense.
Yep.
No. But what might make some sense is to figure out how to take a piece out of that every year and convert it from it's going to be taxed forever to it's never going to be taxed again. It's a strategy that we create by doing a tax analysis. We can do it with our software. We can do it with your CPA. We can do it with our CPAs. But we can show you in black and white how to create a strategy for a Roth conversion that makes some sense to you, doesn't bust a particular bracket if that's important, and that relies on doing this over a period of time to ultimately minimize what you're going to pay the government in tax.
Well, where we can, we want to control that. We want to control risk exposure. We want growth on our money. And we certainly want to move through all of the steps that are important to preparing for retirement. Whether you are yet to make that transition, but considering it in the near future, have recently made that big change, or even already retired. Reviewing these steps, I think, will help you make sure that you are doing the best things for your financial future. If you'd like the list, if you'd like any of the resources that we've talked about on the program, pick up the phone, give Cornerstone Retirement Partners a call. Give Ron Corser, Certified Financial Planning Professional, a call, 616-301-2581. That's 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581, and request the time to talk with a member of the team, with Ron Corser, any of the resources that we've talked about, or that opportunity for the complimentary review, evaluation, and planning strategy session. Again, that number 616-301-2581. Ron, always a pleasure. Thank you for discussing some of the big issues that are facing planners that we need to address and pay attention to.
I appreciate that. You just heard the plane go over. The wind has shifted here in Grand Rapids Airport and the planes are flying over our office. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. Give us a call. We can help you. Other than that, you have a blessed Sunday and look forward to talking to you next week.
Always a great time talking with Ron Corser, CFP. He's there as your resource, ladies and gentlemen. Financial questions, issues with your money, give Cornerstone Retirement Partners a call, especially as you are preparing those dollars to help you achieve those important financial goals. 616-301-2581. We'll talk to you next time on Your Course to Retirement.
Tune into Cornerstone Retirement Partners' full radio program, Your Course to Retirement, Sunday mornings at 9 o'clock at News Radio WOOD, or visit cornerstone-rp.com for many valuable resources, including those mentioned on this show and other great episodes of Your Course to Retirement.
The content of this radio show is provided for informational purposes only and is not a solicitation or recommendation of any investment strategy. You are encouraged to seek investment, tax, or legal advice from an independent professional advisor.
Ed Slott's Elite IRA Advisor Group is solely an indication that the financial advisor has attended training provided by Ed Slott and Company, passed biannual examinations on material covered at conferences and in webinars, and met other membership requirements, and does not constitute an endorsement of any kind. Ed Slott's Elite IRA Advisor Group members pay a fee for the educational programs that allow them to be included in the Ed Slott's Elite IRA Advisor Group. Membership does not guarantee investment success. Fiduciary duty extends solely to investment advisory advice and does not extend to other activities such as insurance or broker-dealer services.
Advisory services offered through Brookstone Capital Management, a registered investment advisor.
Advisory clients are charged a quarterly fee for assets under management, while insurance products pay a commission, which may result in a conflict of interest regarding compensation.
Any investments and/or investment strategies mentioned involve risk, including the possible loss of principal. Any comments regarding safe and secure investments and guaranteed income streams refer only to fixed insurance products. They do not refer in any way to securities or investment advisory products. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals or growth from annuities may be taxable as ordinary income in the year it is taken. Individuals should review contracts for specific details of the products featured